Hi, Alicia. Sorry this is late. Just got back from a cross country meet all morning. I really enjoyed reading your teaching narrative. I think you did a great job with your agenda. You definitely introduced writing and social studies, and I definitely appreciate that as an English teacher because I believe there should be writing and reading incorporated in all content areas. And there are a lot of teachers who don't do that. So props to you. I think you did a good job detailing and describing the setting and events and the writers that you taught. You did a good job explaining that. Your seventh grade social studies classroom, you talked about what you were doing. Good job. And you expressed the rationale for selecting this practice and what you plan to accomplish. I liked how you included the Right Beside Them by Kittle. It's awesome. So going to my little comments I made, I also did my lesson on 9/11. I think it's a valuable topic for students, especially seventh graders. I have ninth graders. It's not so far back in their history where they can't relate to what happened. It's not talking about the Civil War where they look at it and they're like, that happened a gazillion years ago. Like 9/11 happened right before my kids were born, and they're still feeling the effects of 9/11 today and in our life. So it's a really cool thing to talk about in our classrooms, and it's a great way to write and read about it. So that's what I wanted to point out for that. Um, you let them bring their phones to class, which is fantastic of you. Phones freak me out. So phones are so prominent today. If you can't beat it, join it. Make them use it in the classroom. So I give you props on that one. You did a good job explaining everything in these paragraphs. The last part, the secondary sources and primary sources, I appreciate this integration with these sources. I was teaching my class the other day, and I told them that the speech we were reading was a primary source, and they looked at me like I was talking in another language. So I appreciate the sources bring, the different types of sources being brought into the classroom. And then when you said you didn't have enough technology, like I feel so bad for you. We are so spoiled at my school. Each of our students have Chromebooks that they take to every single one of their classes. So it has its own headaches, but overall it is awesome. So I feel for you. Keep going. The one thing that I did think about with your narrative, you just kind of explained it in paragraphs and you did a great job doing it. It could have been cool to add some of like the dialogue that you talked about with the 9/11 because a lot of the kids have so many questions and they have so many thoughts. So maybe if you would have included some of the dialogue that happened in the classroom, that could have been really cool because you talked about, we discussed this, we took notes on this. If you would have included that, I think that could have been super powerful in your narrative. And the last thing I saw is you have a very diverse group of kids. You have one with an IEP, you have 8 that are gifted and talented. So how did you differentiate your lesson to provide the information to all these students? Could you have explained the differentiation in your lesson plan? So I know I have 2 kids who are gifted in, in articulation, and they are very, they're in acting and they're in drama and they have very like big personalities. So when we read our speech the other day, I had one of my boys stand up and read it as if he was the president. And so that helped with his gifted and talented, like meeting his standards of giving him leadership opportunities and giving him opportunities to do more, I guess, acting things, which is pretty cool. So I think that could have been very powerful too of how you differentiated this lesson for all your students and all their different needs. But overall, you did a great job. I love the use of the standards and the sources. You did a really good job explaining this. So those are my only couple comments. Good job.